Good afternoon. I'm Liz Boldon. I serve in the Senate representing District 25, which is Rochester, Orinoco, and areas north of Rochester. I'm really proud of the work that we have done and are continuing to do in relation to medical debt. Medical debt is not like other debt. It is not something people decide to do like a business loan or a car loan. People don't plan to have extended hospital stays or heart attacks or have their gallbladder burst. That's why we shouldn't treat medical debt the same as other debt. Medical debt is the #1 reason why Americans go into bankruptcy. If you travel 6 hours to the north and talk to Canadians about that, they will look at you like you have two heads. That is why last year we took significant action to help Minnesotans burdened with medical debt. In 2024, we passed the Minnesota Debt Fairness Act in collaboration with Attorney General Keith Ellison. And most of its provisions went into effect into state law last October. The law included numerous protections for Minnesotans struggling with medical debt, and I want to talk about a few of those. It included prohibiting medical debt from being reported to credit bureaus, protecting patients' good credit. It stopped the automatic transfer of medical debt from one spouse to another automatically. Minnesota was one of the very few states who did that, and medical debt was the only debt we treated that way. That is no longer the case. It allows patients who successfully defend medical debt lawsuits to have their attorney's fees paid. It requires medical providers to publish their collection practices, just transparency of what their practices are. It bans providers from withholding necessary health care due solely to unpaid debt. It limits wage garnishment practices and extends protections to everyone living and working in Minnesota. It creates processes for patients to dispute billing errors. It established new medical debt collection rights and strengthened protections against predatory collection tactics. And it expands bankruptcy protections and shields more property from collection. In early January, the CFPB published its own rule prohibiting unpaid medical debt from appearing on people's credit reports, despite objections from the 3 big U.S. credit reporting entities, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, the Trump administration is bowing to their demands, rendering that protection obsolete for a large part of the country. On average, the inclusion of medical debt reduces credit scores by 20 points, which is significant. It's estimated that 22,000 new mortgages would likely be approved each year if this rule was in place nationwide. This means that through no fault of their own, folks struggling to pay back medical debt are locked out of a major pathway to financial stability, further exacerbating their financial struggles. An estimated 22.8 million people are expected to have at least one medical collection removed from their credit reports after the 3 nationwide consumer reporting companies announced removal of the medical collections under $500 from consumer credit reports in April of 2023. And I want to be clear, while the Trump administration is dismantling protections for people across the country, in Minnesota, because of the Debt Fairness Act that we passed previously, Minnesotans are protected from that. Still in Minnesota, medical debt cannot be reported against people's credit scores because we know it is not like other debt. It is not, medical debt is not an accurate representation of people's credit worthiness. And so, again, I'm really proud of the work that we have done here in Minnesota, and we will continue that work.